Some people wake up one day and realize they no longer recognize the person they see in the mirror. Not because they've changed their appearance or forgotten their name, but because something deeper has shifted. Trauma has a way of shaking the very foundation of who we are. In today's video, we're going to talk about identity loss after trauma, what it really is, what happens in the brain, what psychological theories say, and how people can begin the journey of finding themselves again. We'll also explore natural and medical approaches to healing, so stay with me. When someone goes through a traumatic experience, especially repeatedly, it can disconnect them from their sense of self. This goes beyond just feeling sad or shaken. It's a fragmentation of identity. The things they used to care about no longer hold meaning. The roles they played, parent, friend, dreamer, suddenly feel foreign. There's a psychological term for this: identity diffusion. It refers to a state where a person lacks a clear, stable sense of self or direction. People experiencing identity diffusion often feel like they're drifting, unsure of what they believe, value, or want from life. Trauma disrupts the way the brain encodes and retrieves autobiographical memory, which is central to identity. The default mode network (DMN), a collection of interconnected brain regions that activate during rest and self-reflection, plays a big role here. The DMN includes areas like the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and the precuneus. It's responsible for constructing our personal narrative, who we are, what we've been through, what we believe. When trauma hijacks the brain, the DMN function can become dysregulated. People may feel detached from their past, unable to remember significant moments clearly, or feel like those memories belong to someone else. A neurologist would explain it like this: the medial prefrontal cortex, located just behind your forehead, helps you reflect on yourself and your emotions. The posterior cingulate cortex, near the back of your brain, helps integrate those reflections with memory. The precuneus, tucked in the parietal lobe, helps you imagine yourself from a third-person perspective. When these areas misfire or go quiet because of trauma, your ability to see yourself clearly, or to feel connected to your past, breaks down. Emotionally, people in this state often experience derealization or depersonalization. Derealization is the feeling that the world around them isn't real, like it's a dream or a movie. Depersonalization is the feeling that they themselves aren't real, that they're watching their life from outside their body. Psychologically, these symptoms are defense mechanisms. When the brain perceives overwhelming danger or emotional pain, it tries to protect itself by disconnecting. A psychologist might describe it as the psyche's emergency shutdown protocol.
I'll take it from here, since I'm better, but emotions themselves are complex and deeply rooted in both biology and experience. They begin in the limbic system, particularly the amygdala, which detects emotional stimuli and sends signals to other brain regions. When we experience something threatening, the amygdala activates and triggers a stress response. The hypothalamus then signals the adrenal glands to release cortisol and adrenaline stress hormones that prepare us for fight or flight. In healthy conditions, the prefrontal cortex, the brain's rational center, regulates these emotional responses. But after trauma, this balance is disrupted. The amygdala becomes hyperactive, the hippocampus, which processes memory, may shrink, and the prefrontal cortex struggles to bring order to the chaos. That's why trauma survivors often have intense emotions that feel uncontrollable, or, on the opposite end, no emotions at all. Medications are sometimes used to help with these symptoms. Antidepressants like SSRI selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors work by increasing the amount of serotonin available in the brain. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter linked to mood, social behavior, and memory. SSRI block the reabsorption of serotonin in the brain, allowing more to circulate. Common SSRI include fluoxetine, sertraline, and escitalopram. They're made from synthetic compounds designed to interact with the brain's chemical pathways. Side effects can vary but often include nausea, dizziness, sexual dysfunction, insomnia, and emotional numbness. For some, these side effects feel like trading one type of suffering for another. That's why it's essential to consult a mental health professional to assess whether medication is appropriate and to monitor its effects carefully. But medication isn't the only path. Many people begin healing through natural, holistic approaches that address the body, brain, and soul. One of the most powerful tools is narrative therapy. This involves helping individuals reclaim their story, piece by piece. By writing, speaking, or expressing their story through art or music, people begin to stitch together the fragmented parts of their identity. Journaling is another effective tool. It provides a safe space to process thoughts and emotions, identify recurring themes, and track progress over time. Even 5 minutes a day can begin to build a bridge between confusion and clarity. Spiritual reconnection is also a cornerstone of healing for many. This doesn't necessarily mean organized religion, though it can. It could also mean meditation, nature walks, prayer, or simply reconnecting with a deeper sense of purpose. The soul, like the body, needs tending. And sometimes healing begins not by fixing what's broken, but by remembering what still matters. From a neurological perspective, practices like meditation and breath work activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's calming mechanism. This lowers cortisol, reduces inflammation, and helps restore balance between the amygdala and prefrontal cortex. Over time, this can actually change the brain's structure, a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. Exercise is another powerful tool. Movement increases endorphins, improves sleep, and enhances brain function. Activities like yoga or Tai Chi combine physical movement with mindfulness, engaging both body and mind in healing. Nutrition plays a role too. The gut-brain axis is a communication network between your digestive system and your brain. A diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids, fiber, fermented foods, and antioxidants can positively influence mood and cognitive function. Supplements like magnesium, vitamin D, and B-complex vitamins are often used to support mental health, though it's best to get professional guidance before starting any regimen. Some people also benefit from trauma-informed body work like massage, craniosacral therapy, or somatic experiencing. These methods help release trauma stored in the body and restore a sense of safety. And then there are stories, real ones. Like a man who spiraled into drug use, lost everything, and found himself on the edge of losing his mind. He drove toward places he thought would bring peace, only to watch them fall apart. The radiator blew. His car caught fire. And in that smoke, all the pain of childhood, betrayal, and shame rose to the surface. That man didn't know who he was anymore. But that man also started to ask questions. About faith, about healing, about whether a broken mirror could still reflect something true. That man sat in a jail cell, wrestled with God, with himself, and with the version of him he had become. And through reflection, discipline, and grace he started to rebuild. When someone loses their identity, they aren't lost forever. Sometimes they're in the process of shedding a false identity that was built out of fear, survival, or expectations. And in that shedding, there's pain but also potential. If you're watching this and you feel like you don't know who you are anymore, you're not alone. The mind can be wounded, but it can also heal. The self can be lost, but it can also be found. The journey back to you may not be easy, but every step counts. You're not broken. You're becoming. And that is a powerful thing to witness.